friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is going to be something that I feel like I've learned. It's probably still a learning process, but it's actually going to be focusing on the cons of owning an exotic bird. So, I'll just have a disclaimer up front that I don't regret my decision in the least. She's Aki so much. She brings so much joy and interest in watching what information she processes and kind of evaluating a higher level thinking bird. So, here you go. You want to come up here? Right now, she's wanting some attention, and it's interesting today that she seems to want your head scratched more than usual, don't you? Yeah. So I was gonna talk, Aki, about. I may have to look at you, just so you'll be able to kind of participate in the video, unless you want up there. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, our cons are, first and foremost, they're a very high maintenance pet. So you have to be the type of person with ample amount of time to invest in a sincere trust bond. So I know those are incredibly challenging ideas. I think she's going to take the clip out of my hair. She likes to groom me. That's one of their ways of showing affection, and which is I also, because they bond to you just like they would a mate, and it puts you in a challenging place. Because if you think long term, you're like, well, does that mean I can't really travel if I have that opportunity? And the true answer is possibly. It would be stressful on their body and very hard for them not to see you after you've developed your very strong bond. And some people like to have a bird and kind of either they choose not to work on developing that strong bond and enjoying their bird at a distance. And some of the exotic birds, from what I can tell, not from my own experience, seem to be that they can adapt and kind of handle that. The one that I've noticed is the blue and gold macaw. And if you have a blue and gold macaw and have a different perception of it, please comment. I always enjoy learning more. But they seem to be the type that are just more affectionate and more content with life. So it's easier to find some things maybe to put in their cage, new toys, challenge their intellect, give them some foraging activities. And I noticed there's several toys where they have to figure out a combination to get to their favorite treat, which are fun things to put in there, but it doesn't require as much personal interaction with you. So I wanted to show you, but she's not participating as well. She might after a nap. I've kind of learned that, in fact, most birds really need 12 hours of sleep. And it's kind of like when the sun goes down, the normal cycle of when the sun goes down and then when the sun comes up. So at dusk, they're typically kind of ready, but you can change that by lighting and playing with them, and then run into a situation where they didn't get enough rest and they're very fussy. Says you're fussy. You shouldn't be fussy today. But I guess this is a good time to just use what's happening to say it'll probably test your patience, even if you're a very patient. There she is, an incredibly patient person. So, to get the best out of your relationship with your bird, I suggest that you invest quite a lot of attention, watch them and see what they're learning, And for one example, and this is a confession, but it will be a good example for people to learn from. My ideas of possibly having a bird I researched about a year were from a career and education standpoint. I thought it would be interesting to socialize her well enough to take her into our schools and let the students kind of tell about the bird, let the students have an opportunity to see a very different kind of creature and understand that so much is actually happening in their brains compared to what you might think of a regular, you're just normal everyday bird. And also see that they have their own unique style, but the genetics involved are also very important. So that kind of puts that philosophy of nature versus nurture into account. So a caution again would be nature for her type. She's known for many names. A mini macaw. She's known as a chestnut-fronted macaw. And mini is because they're the smallest macaw. They're also very prevalent and pretty. They're not an endangered species. We'll say that. Whoops. Did I move too quick? Let's see. The chestnut-fronted is because the front part over her beak, the black beak, around is a chestnut kind of color. So many of the terminology for a lot of the exotic birds relate to what coloring they are. It's a whole interesting topic in itself. But thank you, baby. But okay, right now, so she's biting. You got a good example of that. She started biting hard, and we don't bite, right? Remember, it hurts. I'm trying to teach her. She will say quickly, it hurts. Sometimes I'm able to catch it if I'm paying attention. And paying attention while you're holding them is probably the best idea. She loves to go up on the vine and in the tree, and she can hang out for 3 hours without any attention. So it's not a non-stop thing, and I don't want to create that fear, but I think evaluating the caution is very important. I realized quickly that that she wasn't going to be a fast type of bird to adapt to a lot of socialization quickly. She's cautious, which I think all of our exotic birds are. And I'll tell you an example, which I said was a confession. I had only had her about a week, and I needed to take the car to the mechanic. You're going to be upside down playing. This is kind of fun, because I usually don't catch that, do we? She loves to hang upside down, and I didn't know that till she just did it one day. She loves a tummy tickle time. Sounds like she's not enjoying it, but after a little bit, you'll see that it's one of her favorite activities. So I took the car back to the main story, down to the shop. She had only been out with me 4 or 5 times, but I was pretty eager to get her out because I was ready to socialize her. So I was taking the car to the shop. The brakes were needing some attention, and so it was cold and beginning of winter, and I sat in the shop with the guys for a little bit, and they had the heater on there. It was early in the morning, and she was on my shoulder, so we got to talk about it. It was interesting. So after we had a small visit, they decided, to pull my car in, kind of look at it, and then they asked me a question that I don't recall exactly what it was, but I realized that I need to grab something from the car to assist in the work that they were doing. So I had a quick response to find what I needed to assist them, And so I leaned down into the car. She was on my shoulder, and sadly, I didn't give her enough space. I hadn't processed that enough to be cautious about every possibility that she could get hurt. She wasn't hurt. She flew off, and it surprised me, and so I went over, talked to her, let her walk to me, doing the permission-based kind of training to keep that trust level and bond going. So, as a result, it was very interesting to watch. She associated the negative with the car. And she planned for that. She didn't really associate the negative with me, but it was a long-term response. She's finally she's finally almost through that. I won't say 100%, but you're about there, aren't you? Where she's no longer concerned about the car. And it's also that I've adapted quickly. So her frustrations were experienced when we were about to get in the car. Another time, like the time after, was a big deal. She made a lot of noise, and she ran down on my hand rather than sitting on my shoulder, and I stopped and looked, and I realized that she was associating getting in the car with danger. So I took that slow. We worked through it. I made sure she had plenty of space. She was comfortable. And it was a good experience. I'm learning to see how sensitive that trust bond is with some birds, that you've got to calculate, especially if you're going out for a good while, what kinds of things are going to distract them or make them nervous. So at this point, from what I'm learning, is she probably won't be a good candidate to take into the school, because that many people would overwhelm her. And I will just give you my reasoning behind that. Is her wings were severely cut before I got her. I don't know if they're going to grow out, so we may not get to a place where she enjoys the opportunity of a bird, which many people are doing now. And it's a popular movement to give them free flight training and go with a group. They typically go to a desert location where there are not a lot of trees, and allow them to fly and soar and exercise those wings and stay healthy. So I've had to back up on my expectations that she may not be able to just go into the school. There's so many kids, there can be so much noise. She's going to see it as a place that she's not safe, even though she may be just sitting on my shoulder and beside me. There are too many distractions. If we modified that just a bit, it just occurred to me that what if we sat outside, she built up her trust, and students got to come by and maybe ask questions, but we had some space in between us that she didn't feel the threat. So that might be a really good way to introduce them to the possibility and what level of intelligence these birds possess. And also through this process, I've got to learn a great deal about birds in the wild. We have so many here that are extraordinarily beautiful. They're smaller than these tropical birds, but their abilities and care for each other, taking care of their young, watching the male and female watch out for each other and stay in close contact has been a really enlightening experience for me. Any observation of nature, taking the time to really look and watch, gives you so many opportunities to learn. So you nature fanatics already know those things. If you haven't gotten yourself away from electronics, out into nature, then I challenge you to take the time to do it. It's good for your soul. And it's also great to take the time to appreciate what we have, what's around us, what God has given us to enjoy, to nurture and care for. So, let's see, our cons were review. You need to have the time. So if you're working full time, not retired the way I am, with the type of bird as, oh, I forgot to say, she's also a severe macaw, and that's kind of a negative. I don't say it too often because they have the reputation of having a severe scream, and I've heard it. She does it occasionally. I try not to respond too much to it because I don't want to encourage it. However, what I've noticed is she does scream when she's more in distress, and there's some real reason behind it. It's not just, hey, I want your attention, let's play. So she doesn't scream much, but I could really see if someone didn't have the time to invest in her and she wanted more of a relationship, which these type of birds, I will say, definitely are relationship oriented. She could get, I don't know if we'd call it angry, but highly frustrated, and that would be part of her personality, is she's very emotional and with lots of frustration. So you gone to work and then you went and picked up some food, and so it gives you like 30 minutes to an hour to kind of invest in her, or you have a basketball game and you're gone. They will freak out. And you see some birds that become so nervous they start pulling out their feathers, self-mutilization. So I highly caution you of taking on this type of bird, and if you're the type of person that has time and wants to learn and build the relationship and teach them new words, it's fun to see them. She's thinking about something right now. I get distracted. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna move it. She changed her head. She had her head cocked and she was looking up, and you can watch and see how she's processing things. Right now she's doing a little grooming, so she's comfortable. She'd probably love to have a head scratch right now, wouldn't you? You'd probably like that. We'll probably do that in a minute, and then I'll put you up on your vine. So this is a little bit longer than I really planned, but I felt like the information of just knowing how to be cautious and not jump into, oh, that's a beautiful bird and it talks, because she says I love you a lot. And the interesting thing, I will tell you that some people, I don't think they believe, which is probably because they don't have enough experience with a bird. These type, she says I love you as a reward to me. So maybe she is feeling that emotion of being so thankful. Yeah, because she does a first, don't you? You do a specific whistle, and then she says, I love you, I love you. If I don't respond later, she's going to do it in a deep voice, I love you. It is funny, it's remarkable, it's hard to catch. But right now she's wanting more attention. Did you see her? She started trying to get me to look at her because I'm talking. Oh, she's wanting a head scratch. She's gotten to where if I put my hand up there, she likes to be petted. At first, she didn't have any interest in being petted. That felt like she was being caught. So apparently, rather than waiting on her to make her decision, the permission training that you do to respect the animal and the choices, somebody probably caught her from behind or from the side and held her feathers, her wings down, and moved her to where they needed to be. And occasionally you just kind of have to do that. Something's pressing and things change quickly, especially if there's emergency and you need to get her in her cage. And so, I mean, she's going to give you a little bit of grace. But if it's a continual process, I would suggest that you will never get to the level of the bond that is allowed to be able to stroke over the back. Do you want to try it again? Oh, a tractor's driving by. So if you watch, they are alert to sounds. I'm outside. Even though it's down the street a ways, they're very aware of their environment and are continually learning. So this gives her a lot of intellectual stimulation without having to put a toy and keep her in a cage. So some of these things I wanted to share just because I'm gathering information and learning to understand her as I go. And if you have any suggestions or a topic you want me to talk about, just leave it in the comments. I appreciate the likes if it gives you any information that you were kind of seeking. You ready to say goodbye? That's another thing. I can start laughing. But if I do it several times, she'll sound like a chicken. You'll start your laughter and it sounds like a little chuckle, 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 chuckle. So she likes to join me in the things that, the vocal sounds that I have. She's very observant. So, goodbye for now. I hope that was a helpful insight into a severe macaw or a chestnut-fronted macaw, or you might know him as a mini macaw. There's so many different levels. We could talk several different, I hate to say several all the time. We could discuss multiple topics with her, and I'm still learning. I expect to learn in the next year even so much more just by observation and seeing how she responds to different stimuli. Yeah, okay. You can condition them. Some are easy to condition. But her high level of wanting a really positive relationship and seeking that, you just have to go slowly, have a lot of patience. She's got to have that trust. Now she's grooming my eyebrow. I guess you saw that. Never had my eyebrow groomed, have I? It's her first time. Okay. Thanks for joining me. We will see you again and update you if you're interested in having an exotic bird and having a close friend. That's quite entertaining. All right, I love you guys, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Aki, do you want to say goodbye? She's pretty quiet on camera, and that's okay. Let it be, let it be. Words of wisdom, especially with her type. Just don't pressure her. Quit it. Don't pressure her, and don't move her too quickly. And see, I've gone over. It's 22 minutes. I've really gone over her ability to process me talking nonstop without being able to figure out who I'm talking to or what that's about. All right, we should have gone for 15 minutes, but that's okay. We learn as we go, continue to learn as we go, and it's always a new experience. Okay, let's try this again. Bye-bye.